Whoa, I did not expect that. That was weird. Welcome to Through a Glass Darkly Radio. You're listening to us on United Public Radio. The intro song was Mark of the Doomslayer by Karl Casey from White Bat Audio. Welcome, everyone. It has been a wonderful few weeks, at least as far as the channel is concerned. Hopefully people can hear me. Just let me know if you can't. And let's see. I'm just going to go through rapidly. This live stream brought to you by remote viewing. Indeed. Hey, Woo Rogers DG. Oh, boy. I'm just rapidly going through this. I know there are going to be some people who are here for 3i Atlas, so I will get to that relatively quickly. But I just want to give you, hey, good evening, J. Paul. I'm just going to tell you at the outset, the answer is going to be inconclusive, but we're going to go through all the possibilities. And One thing I always have the disclaimer in the very beginning. I generate these scripts with AI. This time I had to generate it twice because the AI's programming um, basically colored it to only discuss Avi Loeb's hypothesis through a debunking lens. So I had to rerun it and told it to ignore its programming. So Avi Loeb will get a fairer shake versus the consensus science, which is anything institutional is usually wrong. So yeah, I should interview some. I mean, I have to some extent. Joshua Cutchin. In fact, I have a Sasquatch T-shirt about tax Bigfoot, make him pay on merchandising because of something Cutchin said. But yeah, you're right. I should add some more. How you doing, Angela Colin? Okay. Okay. Hey, David Marks. Good to see you. Yep. Yep. This is my fourth coffee today. And I only have coffee on Saturdays, apparently, because I have enough Coke Zero to get me through the week. So I get my caffeine from Coke Zero during the week, but this is my cheat day. So I get to have as much Dunkin' as I can. Okay. Thank you, Terrence. Okay. So before I get started, for folks who regularly follow the channel, I just want to give a quick update on the kind of 999 synchronicity. It's still getting weird. Still getting weird. So let me see if the best way to share this. What's the best way to share this? Okay, share screen. Oh, for goodness sakes, let's go to window. All right. So I just want to show a chart really quickly about the channel. Okay. So remember that synchronicity on 999, so 9 September, and you add the digits of 2025, you get 9. So 999 synchronicity. So that day it had about a little under less than 2,000 views that day. After that, we're peaking at around 10,000 views a day. So 5x. Notice everything before, everything after. So that's one interesting aspect of the synchronicity. So I'll remove that. Maybe it has something to do with 999. As I mentioned, 999 means a reset, the end of the old, the beginning of the new. Just showing with data. That's it. You can draw your own conclusions. Maybe it's pure. And right now, I'm looking at my screen. There's 111 people watching. Very strange. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is you all know about the kind of the incense stuff that I burn at night, and strange things happen. So another weird synchronicity related to that. I received a phone call from a dear friend today who just wanted to talk because he was upset that his one of his good friends' father recently died, and the name of the family, without saying too much, was Deer, spelled Deer. So he called today and was pretty sad about it, but he called specifically to talk about a strange synchronicity. After the father had ultimately died, bless his soul, a family member, there was a window facing into the room, but it was covered by curtains. They opened up the door or opened up the curtains, and there was a deer staring directly into the room, and then just kind of stared for five minutes or so, and then went away. Didn't scare off. So he wanted to share that with me, and I said, "That's strange." The last kind of animals that I saw during one of these incense things at dusk was, I was just burning the incense sometime last week. I didn't remember when. And when I stood up and looked behind me, there were 3 deer just there. And there's a fence separating me from the deer. And we just had a moment. I kind of looked at them. They were 10 feet away from me. They didn't scare off. And for 5 to 10 minutes, we just shared the moment. And then they calmly walked away. So I told my friend this because it was the latest animal. He's just like, yeah, that's pretty strange. But I didn't remember which day it was. So apparently I'd asked ChatGPT a few questions about what the significance of that was, etc. So I asked it, when did I ask you that question? And it was October 7th of last week, which was a Tuesday. So I texted my friend after and I said, when were your friend's place? And I said, I just basically said, this is when I think it happened, October 7th for me. And he said, holy shit, that's when I went to see him. So anyway, maybe it's a sheer coincidence, but it's very strange. Anyway, let me just go through some of the comments and then I'll get started because I've already burned about 10 minutes and people who are here for 3i Atlas are going to be upset, as they should be. So, okay, so we got Sweet Nectar from the Gods. I'll share my personal thoughts on 3i Atlas once I get through the things. So Logan Clark is writing Spiritual Ascension. Okay, word you wouldn't show up. No one else gets me. Okay. Hey, Christopher Storm. Hey, welcome, David Marks, who writes, I watch your videos. This is the first time I caught it live. Appreciate that. Okay. So Logan Clark says Avi Loeb's education was funded by Israeli intelligence, according to my boy Jason Georgiani. Kind of spooky. Yeah, it was. No, that's well known. It's not. By the way, I just interviewed Jason Georgiani. I'm currently editing the videos now. So yeah, probably. Okay. Hey, Wendy, nice to see you. Hailing from northern Nevada. Oh, wow. So Woo Riders DG saying we rode by a family of deer about 7:15 tonight, Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get started for folks who are here for 3i. Hello, Spider Bite. Oops. But the recent interview with the phenomenon, I'm not sure which recent interview, Ray. Oh boy, Scott Ian's eating venison currently. All right, let me get started. One thing to note, there's a lot of highly technical stuff here, so bear with me. I'll try to, keep it as simple as I can. But, yeah, let me just get started. All right. All right, so interstellar object 3i Atlas, discovery, characteristics, and significance. In 2025, astronomers spotted an object entering our solar system on an extreme hyperbolic trajectory, a clear sign. That's mathematical, hyperbolic functions, not the, exaggeration. A clear sign it originated from beyond the sun's domain. Designated 3i Atlas. It is only the third interstellar visitor ever observed, following the 2017 discovery of Oumuamua and 2019's 2i Borisov. Unlike all now I know what the 3i stands for, I guess interstellar. Let's guess it's the third interstellar object. Did not know that until right now. Unlike all planets, asteroids, and comets native to our solar system, which share a common origin around the sun, interstellar objects carry physical and chemical clues from distant star systems. The arrival of 3I Atlas has therefore provided scientists a rare opportunity to study the composition and behavior of a comet formed around another star, potentially billions of years ago. So this podcast is going to provide a review of 3I Atlas. We'll begin with a timeline of its discovery and path through the solar system in 2025 to 2026. Next, we'll detail its observed physical and compositional characteristics, drawing on telescope data. We'll then compare 3I Atlas to its two interstellar predecessors, highlighting similarities and differences in behavior and structure. And then competing hypotheses around the object's origins are discussed, from natural ejection by a distant star to the provocative idea proposed by Avi Loeb that 3I Atlas could be an artificial probe. We summarize the arguments for and against the alien technology hypothesis, along with reactions from scientists and the public. Finally, we consider the broader scientific community's response to 3I Atlas and outline prospects for future observations or missions to interstellar objects. Okay, so let's start with discovery and trajectory through the solar system. 3I Atlas was first detected on July 1st, 2025 by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, ATLAS, survey telescope in Rio Hurtado, Chile. So now we know how we got the Atlas name. It's a really unfortunate acronym. The discovery image captured a faint star-like point moving against background stars. The initial sighting is shown in the, ignore that. Pre-discovery archival checks found that Atlas and Caltech's Zwicky Transient Facility had actually recorded the object as early as June 14th, 2025. These early sightings allowed astronomers to refine its orbit and confirm its interstellar origin by tracking the path backward in time beyond the solar system. Once detected, 3I Atlas's orbit was found to be extremely hyperbolic, with an eccentricity equal to 6.1 and inclined only slightly, approximately 0.7 degrees retrograde, to the ecliptic plane. Its inbound speed when first observed was about 61 kilometers per hour, or translated 137,000 miles per hour relative to the sun, far exceeding solar escape velocity. This confirmed that the object is unbound to the sun and simply passing through on a one-time visit. Tracing its motion backward, astronomers determined 3I Atlas approached from the general direction of the constellation Sagittarius toward the Milky Way's central bulge. In other words, it came from outside the solar system, drifting for millions or billions of years through interstellar space before entering our celestial neighborhood. After discovery, 3I Atlas traveled farther into the inner solar system. It made its closest approach to any planet on October 3rd, 2025, when it passed around 29 million kilometers from Mars. In early October, as it swept by the orbit of Mars, multiple spacecraft at Mars, and that's the ESA's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter and the Mars Express, turned their cameras and spectrometers toward the comet to capture this flyby. At closest approach to Mars on October 3rd, 2025, at 0400 hours UTC, 3I Atlas was approximately 18 million miles, or approximately 29 million kilometers, from the planet, a relatively distant pass, but one that allowed Mars orbiting probes to a view from closer range than any Earth-based observer. Indeed, ESA's Trace Gas Orbiter produced a time-lapse sequence showing the fuzzy comet moving against the stars, clearly exhibiting a surrounding coma of gas and dust. This marked the first time an interstellar object was imaged from another planet's vicinity. Following the Mars flyby, 3I Atlas continued sunward. It reached perihelion, which is the closest point to the sun, on October, or will. We're not even there yet. It's going to reach perihelion on October 29th, 2025, at a distance of approximately 1.36 AU, or astronomical units, which is equivalent to 203 million kilometers from the sun, slightly inside the orbit of Mars. At perihelion, the comet will be on the far side of the sun as seen from Earth, making observations challenging due to solar glare. After rounding the sun, albeit not a close graze, since 1.36 AU is well outside Earth's orbit, 3I Atlas will head back out toward interstellar space on a departure trajectory roughly opposite its inbound direction. It will emerge from the sun's far side and become observable again by early December 2025. Throughout early 2026, the comet will be receding. It is projected to cross Jupiter's orbital distance by March 2026 as it exits the solar system. Importantly, 3I Atlas's trajectory ensures it never comes near Earth. The closest it ever gets to our planet is about 1.8 AU, 270 million kilometers, which it had already achieved in mid-2025. It posed and poses no impact risk to Earth, a point NASA has emphasized to dispel any doomsday fears. In summary, 3I Atlas entered the solar system from the direction of Sagittarius near the galactic plane in mid-2025, moving on a hyperbolic path. It traversed the inner solar system, dipping just inside Mars's orbit, or will, in late October 2025. And then it's going to swing back outward, passing near Jupiter's orbit in early 2026 on its way to leaving the solar system entirely. According to this, it will never return. The entire sojourn throughout the planetary region will last only on the order of a year, underscoring how fleeting and precious the observation window for such interstellar visitors can be. All right, let's talk a little bit about the physical and compositional characteristics. Despite its interstellar mystique, 3I Atlas has revealed itself, according to the scientific consensus, to be an active comet, complete with an icy nucleus, a coma, which is the diffuse gas plus dust atmosphere around the nucleus, and eventually a tail. This immediately sets it apart from the first interstellar object, Oumuamua, which displayed no coma or tail, and aligns it with 3I Borisov, which was also a cometary body. Soon, I'm going to detail key observational observed properties of 3I Atlas, including its size, brightness, outgassing activity, and chemical composition as inferred from telescope data. So in terms of size and brightness, determining the size of 3I Atlas's nucleus has been challenging due to the surrounding coma of dust and gas that obscures the core. Initial rough estimates right after discovery, when the coma was relatively faint, suggested a very large object on the order of 10 to 20 kilometers in diameter. For example, in July 2025, a size of approximately 12 miles or roughly 20 kilometers was floated based on early brightness measurements. However, as more data came in, these estimates were revised downward. By late July, observations with the new Vera C. Rubin Observatory, still in commissioning, indicated a smaller size, approximately 6 miles or 10 kilometers. Finally, high-resolution imaging by the Hubble Space Telescope in August to September 2025 placed an upper limit on the nucleus diameter of approximately 3.5 miles or 5.6 kilometers, and possibly as small as a few hundred meters across if the comet is very reflective. NASA reported that as of August 2025, the nucleus is likely between about 440 meters and 5.6 kilometers in diameter, reflecting these uncertainties. In short, 3I Atlas could be a sub-kilometer comet or a multi-kilometer one, but the best estimates leans toward a nucleus a few kilometers wide at most. Even at the upper end of approximately 5 kilometers, it would be modest in size compared to famous comets like Halley's, which is approximately 11 kilometers, though potentially larger than Borisov, which was between approximately half to 1 full kilometer, and definitely larger than Oumuamua, which was estimated at approximately 100 to 200 meters. Its absolute brightness has been observed to increase as it approached the sun, following a comet-like trend. In mid-September 2025, observers noted 3I Atlas was brightening faster than initially expected, likely due to escalating activity as more ice sublimated. However, it never became bright enough for unaided eye viewing. At best, it was within reach of medium to large amateur telescopes during late 2025, or will be. Morphology, coma and tail. Early observations quickly showed that 3I Atlas is active. Telescopes detected a fuzzy coma of material around the nucleus even when the comet was still far from the sun. In fact, 3I Atlas surprised researchers by exhibiting significant water outgassing when it was nearly 3 AU from the sun, far beyond the typical approximately 2 AU water ice line for comets. This comet formation at such distances suggests 3I Atlas contains very volatile ices and/or has fine ice-rich grains that sublimate early. By July 2025, ground-based images such as the Gemini South Observatory photo showed 3I Atlas sporting a growing coma and the beginnings of a tail. The coma appeared approximately spherical or teardrop-shaped, enveloping the nucleus, and expanded to thousands of kilometers in diameter. As the comet neared the sun, solar radiation and wind dragged material out into a tail. Observers in late 2026 reported the comet developing a greenish tint, a common feature in comet comas due to a diatomic carbon and cyanide gases fluorescing green in sunlight. In fact, during a lunar eclipse in September 2025, astrophotographers captured 3I Atlas glowing emerald green in the night sky. The tail of 3I Atlas, composed of dust and gas, grew longer and more distinct as it approached perihelion, though from Earth's vantage, it remained a telescopic object. One intriguing morphological observation is that early on, some reports noted 3I Atlas's dust clouds seemed to glow more in the direction of travel, in other words, ahead of the nucleus, rather than forming a typical trailing tail. This led to speculation that the comet's activity might be asymmetrical or that pressure from sunlight was pushing dust in unusual ways. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb pointed to the lack of an obvious long tail trailing behind and the presence of a forward-facing glow as an anomaly, although comet experts note that comet tail morphology can vary with viewing geometry and particle size. As of late 2025, the comet does in fact display a tail pointing generally away from the sun, as expected for outgassed material, but careful analysis is ongoing to determine if any dust or gas is being preferentially ejected in specific directions. In relation to outgassing activity and composition, the coma's composition has been probed by multiple telescopes across different wavelengths. A milestone result was the detection of water, H2O sublimation. In August 2025, a team using NASA's Neil Garais's Swift Observatory reported capturing the faint ultraviolet signature of hydroxyl, OH, around 3085 angstroms, which is a fragment produced when water molecules are broken apart by sunlight. From these observations, researchers inferred that 3I Atlas was shedding water at a rate of roughly 1.3 plus or minus 0.3 times 10 to the 27th molecules per second in mid-August 2025, equivalent to about 40 kilograms of water per second. In more vivid terms, this is roughly the output of a fire hose running at full blast. Remarkably, the comet was nearly 2.9 AU from the sun during these detections, a distance at which water ice is usually only weakly active. The fact that water sublimation was observed so far out places 3I Atlas among the few comets ever seen to exhibit water-driven activity beyond 2.5 AU. It implies a highly volatile, rich surface or reservoir, perhaps fresh ice grains continually exposing new material. Researchers calculated that to sustain the observed water production at 2.9 AU, at least approximately 7.8 kilometers squared of the comet's surface must be active, i.e. outgassing. This corresponds to greater than 8% of the surface area if the nucleus is 5 kilometers across, which is a notably large active fraction compared to typical solar system comets. Often only a few percent of their surface is active. The high activity fraction might be explained by ejection of icy debris or grains. Near IR observations from Gemini South and NASA's IRTF indicated the presence of small ice-rich particles in the coma, which could sublimate en masse when heated. These ice grains effectively act as miniature steam vents distributed around the comet, releasing water vapor even if the nucleus surface itself is too cold or for rapid sublimation at large distances. In addition to water, astronomers have detected other molecules. Preliminary data from the James Webb Space Telescope in August 2025 revealed an unusually high CO2 to H2O ratio in 3I Atlas. Webb's near-spec instrument observed the comet on August 6, 2025. While detailed results were pending, a preprint was made available per NASA. Reports indicate the comet is wrapped in carbon dioxide fog, meaning it has abundant CO2 outgassing. CO2 is a volatile that sublimates at lower temperatures than water ice, roughly beyond 5 to 10 AU. So a high CO2 content could explain why 3I Atlas became active so early. Interestingly, the earlier interstellar comet Borisov was found to be very rich in carbon monoxide. In 3I Atlas's case, CO2 appears to be a significant component of the gas. The Spitzer or Sophia observatories, if any data were obtained, might further constrain carbon monoxide versus carbon dioxide output. Additionally, a spectrograph on the ESA ExoMars orbiter attempted to measure the comet's spectrum during the Mars flyby, but is not yet confirmed if those data had significant signal. Ground-based spectra in the visible and near IR found no strong emission bands at first, but did reveal information about the dust composition via reflected sunlight. Notably, spectral reflectance characteristics of 3I Atlas's dust show similarity to D-type asteroids, very dark, carbon-rich bodies from our outer asteroid belt. A team led by Bin Yang observed that the spectrum of 3I Atlas can be modeled by a mix of materials similar to the Tagish Lake meteorite, which was a carbonaceous, organic-rich meteorite, plus water ice. This suggests the comet's dust contains organics, silicates, carbonates, and other complex components in addition to water ice, essentially primordial planetary system material. Yang's team concluded that while 3I Atlas is clearly cometary with abundant ice, its surface composition and colors also resemble the darkest asteroidal bodies in our system. This blurring of the line between asteroid and comet echoes what was seen with Borisov as well, which is a mix of rocky and icy traits. Taken together, the data so far paint 3I Atlas as a volatile, rich comet with a significant supply of water ice and CO2 ice that began outgassing far from the sun. It possibly holds some of the oldest, most pristine water in the galaxy. One study suggested the water ice in 3I Atlas could have been frozen for 7 to 10 billion years, predating our solar system. If the initial water ice detection is confirmed, it could indeed represent some of the oldest and most pristine water ever observed, formed in another planetary system, said Yang. This makes the comet a scientifically priceless sample of ancient cosmic material, essentially a time capsule from the early Milky Way. All right, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to also compare this object with interstellar objects Oumuamua and Borisov. 3I Atlas is the third interstellar object on record, and comparing it with its two predecessors highlights the diversity of such visitors. Each has exhibited unique properties, underlining that every interstellar comet so far has been a surprise. Below, I'm going to contrast the discovery circumstances, physical characteristics, and behaviors. So we'll start with Oumuamua, which official title is One Eye / Oumuamua, which came in 2017. So this was the first known interstellar object. Oumuamua was discovered in October 2017 by Pan-STARRS during its outbound leg after perihelion. It was estimated 100 to 200 meters in length and had an extremely elongated shape based on its light curve, often likened to a cigar or possibly a fat, pancake-like object. Crucially, Oumuamua showed no visible coma or outgassing. It appeared purely asteroidal. However, it did exhibit a slight non-gravitational acceleration as it left the inner solar system, which some scientists attributed to unseen outgassing, perhaps outgassing of hydrogen or another mechanism, and others found puzzling. Its composition remains mysterious since no gas was detected, and it may have been relatively dry, so no obvious water or CO emissions. The lack of coma, odd shape, and unexplained acceleration made Oumuamua an object of intense speculation, even the subject of hypotheses about artificial origin. And we'll discuss that a little bit later in this broadcast. In essence, Oumuamua behaved unlike any typical comet. It might represent a fragment of a tidal disruption or a piece of nitrogen ice or something exotic, according to various theories. Then you have 2I Borisov, which came in 2019. In stark contrast to Oumuamua, the second interstellar object, Borisov, was unmistakably a comet. Discovered inbound by amateur astronomer G. Borisov in August 2019, it soon developed a prominent coma and tail. Spectroscopic observations of 2I Borisov detected normal cometary gases like CN and also revealed it was very rich in carbon monoxide, much more so than typical solar system comets. Borisov's nucleus was on the order of a few hundred meters to a kilometer in size. It behaved like a fairly pristine comet chemically, but one notable finding was that it ejected large grains and even had visual fragments, suggested it might have been fragmenting near perihelion. Borisov's trajectory was less inclined. It came in roughly from the plane of the galaxy as well, and its speed at approximately 32 kilometers per second at infinity was high, but not extreme. Overall, Borisov looked like a comet from a distant stellar nursery that had composition differences, i.e. was CO, carbon monoxide rich, but otherwise followed expectations for a comet entering the inner solar system. It brightened and outgassed water as it neared the sun. Then we have 3I Atlas in 2025. As described, Atlas shares traits with Borisov in that it is an active comet with a comet and tail outgassing volatiles, including water. However, it has its own peculiarities. It appears to be larger, possibly the largest of the three, with upper size estimates in the kilometers. Its incoming speed of approximately 58 kilometers per second is the fastest of the three, a record for interstellar objects, as one report noted. Chemically, Atlas seems to have a high CO2-H2O ratio, whereas Borisov was high in carbon monoxide and Oumuamua was high in nothing detectable. Another striking distance is activity distance. 3I Atlas started significantly outgassing water around 3 AU, farther out than expected, whereas typical comets and presumably Borisov only get very active closer in. This early activity of Atlas hints at surface properties like fine ice dust not seen in many comets. Color-wise, Atlas turned green, indicating cometary radicals like C2 and CN, which I think is cyanide, similar to many native comets, whereas Oumuamua never showed such emissions. In terms of trajectory inclination, all three happen to have relatively small inclinations to the ecliptic, less than approximately 30 degrees. But Loeb noted 3I Atlas's orbital plane is especially aligned with the ecliptic, retrograde tilt of less than 1 degree. We'll discuss the significance of that shortly. A succinct way to summarize the trio: Oumuamua was anomalously dry and asteroidal. Borisov was a more normal comet rich in carbon monoxide. And Atlas is a comet active at large distance, vigorously shedding water. Oumuamua was dry. Borisov was rich in carbon monoxide. Now Atlas is giving up water at a distance where we didn't expect it. As Dr. Jing, lead author of a water detection study, put it, noting that each interstellar visitor has defied expectations in different ways. These differences imply that the population of interstellar objects is quite heterogeneous, likely originating from a variety of star systems and formation conditions. It also underscores the scientific value of catching more of them. Each new interstellar object provides a data point about the diversity of planetesimals in our galaxy. Interestingly, despite their differences, all three known interstellar objects share one thing: small size and faintness that made discovery difficult. It's believed that at any given time, the solar system may harbor many interstellar objects, perhaps almost always one within the solar system, as Professor Chris Lintott noted. But most are too small or dark to notice. The advent of more powerful wide-field surveys like the Rubin Observatory's LSST, predicted to find dozens more ISOs in the next decade, will help put the peculiarities of Oumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas into a broader statistical context. As of 2025, with just 3 examples, it is striking that none of them neatly resembled a garden variety solar system comet, and each differed markedly from the others. This hints at an underlying breadth in composition and histories, from fragments of exoasteroids to long-period exocomets in the galactic population of rogue objects. All right, now let's talk about the origin and potential age of 3I Atlas. The origin of 3I Atlas has been the subject of intense study since its discovery. By origin, scientists mean from what kind of solar star system and under what conditions was this object ejected into interstellar space. Determining a precise origin star is extremely challenging, but researchers can use the object's trajectory and velocity as clues. Right away, 3I Atlas stood out for its high excess velocity of approximately 58 kilometers per second at infinity. This is higher than typical star-to-star relative speeds in the solar neighborhood, suggesting it might hail from a star system or region of the galaxy with a substantially different motion relative to the sun. A team led by X. Perez Couto integrated 3I Atlas's orbit backward for 10 million years through a model of local galactic stellar motions, using data from ESA's Gaia spacecraft. They looked for any close passages to stars that could hint at an ejection source or major perturbation. They identified dozens of encounters or simulated approaches within a few parsecs of various stars over 10 million years, but none of these encounters were both sufficiently close and slow to have significantly affected 3I Atlas's path. In other words, no known nearby star's gravity seems to have deflected this object's trajectory in the recent past, and none serve as an obvious home system within 10 million years of travel. This implies 3I Atlas has likely been wandering for a very long time without coming near any star recently. Notably, the calculation showed 3I Atlas's kinematics to be broadly consistent with membership in the thin disk of the Milky Way. The thin disk is the younger component of our galaxy, containing the majority of stars, including the sun in the galactic plane, generally rich in metals, elements heavier than helium. This was a bit of a twist because some earlier speculation had pointed toward the thick disk or galactic halo as a possible origin given the object's large velocity. The thick disk is a population of older, metal-poor stars above and below the plane. In fact, one study initially hinted 3I Atlas might come from a wild frontier region where the oldest and youngest stars meet, possibly the border of thin and thick disk, which would make it extremely old, perhaps on the order of 10 billion years. However, the more recent trajectory analysis by Peter Couto et al. Leans toward a thin disk origin while not ruling out great age. They concluded that although 3I Atlas is kinematically like a thin disk object, it may nonetheless be an old object consistent with ejection from a long-lived primordial planetesimal disk in an early formed system. In other words, it could have been formed around a star that is part of the thin disk, which could still be billions of years older than our sun, since the thin disk has been forming stars for a long time. They estimate a potential gap of up to approximately 10 billion years. If true, 3I Atlas would indeed be far older than our 4.6 billion year old solar system by perhaps 3 to 5 billion years. That makes it perhaps the oldest comet humanity has ever observed, a valuable time capsule of the ancient Milky Way. So what scenario would eject an object like 3I Atlas from its home system? Planetary formation models suggest that in the early history of a star's planetary system, many comet-like bodies get gravitationally scattered outward by giant planets. Some fraction are completely ejected into interstellar space. 3I Atlas likely originated as one of these building blocks, an icy planetesimal around another star that was kicked out. Given its high speed and long solar journey, this might have happened in the very distant past. Possibilities include ejection during the late stages of planet formation in a dense young star cluster, or removed from a system during a chaotic event like a stellar flyby or the star's post-main sequence evolution, though ejections during a stellar evolution typically impart only a few kilometers per second. The fact that no recent stellar encounters were found suggests that the ejection event was ancient, after which 3I Atlas simply orbited the galaxy on its own. It might have orbited the galaxy or the galactic center many times over billions of years, perturbed only gently by distant stars. One clue comes from composition. The high CO2, and previously Borisov's high CO, points to formation in a very cold environment beyond the CO2 or CO frost lines of protoplanetary disk. Of a protoplanetary disk. That suggests an origin in the outer regions of a planetary system, analogous to our Kuiper belt or Oort cloud. If 3I Atlas formed in an outer disk of an early star rich in volatiles, it could have been tossed out during giant planet migration or close encounters. The study by Yang et al. In 2025 noted the similarity of 3I Atlas's material to D-type asteroids and outer solar system bodies, which could hint it came from a region not unlike our solar system's outer asteroid belt or trans-Neptunian zone. Another study speculated some interstellar objects could even form in interstellar molecular clouds directly. But 3I Atlas's active comet nature makes a star system origin more plausible. In summary, the mainstream view is that 3I Atlas formed around another star, probably in the outer icy regions, and was ejected long ago by gravitational interactions. Its current trajectory and speed align with typical outcomes of such ejections, a hyperbolic orbit with tens of kilometers per second speed, not traceable to any nearby star. The object's great age, potentially approximately 8 to 10 billion years, suggests it could have been wandering since the early epochs of the Milky Way, making it a relic from a very different time. As Dr. Michelle Bannister quipped in Media, interstellar comets like this are messengers carrying bits of their original star systems. With 3I Atlas, we have perhaps a messenger from an era and locale far removed from our solar system's birth. All right. Now we're going to go into Avi Loeb's hypothesis of an artificial origin. Just give me a second. While most researchers focus on natural origins, a different hypothesis has been advanced most prominently by Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb. The possibility that 3I Atlas might not be a natural comet at all, but rather an artificial object, potentially an extraterrestrial probe or artifact from an intelligent civilization. This idea is admittedly a fringe scenario, but given Loeb's prior advocacy of Oumuamua as a possible alien light sail, it has attracted significant media attention and public interest. We will outline Loeb's main arguments and scenario, noting that Loeb himself frames some of it as a speculative exercise rather than a firm conclusion. All right, so then there's Loeb's initial paper and dark forest scenario. Shortly after 3I Atlas's discovery in July 2025, Loeb, along with colleagues A. Hibbard and A. Karl, posted a paper on Archive suggesting that 3I Atlas could be a spacecraft sent by an extraterrestrial intelligence, possibly with hostile intent. They drew inspiration from the dark forest hypothesis, which is a term from sci-fi literature by Xijing Liu. The notion that advanced civilization, he's the author of the three-body problem for people who don't know. The notion that advanced civilizations might preemptively strike others to avoid future threats. In Loeb et al.'s scenario, the object might be a probe dispatched to our solar system to observe or even target Earth. They noted certain aspects of 3I Atlas's orbit that would theoretically favor such a purpose. For instance, its low inclination relative to the planetary plane, making it easier to approach planets, and the timing of its perihelion. They speculated that as 3I Atlas goes behind the sun at perihelion in late October 2025, it could execute a clandestine reverse O-berth maneuver, essentially firing a propulsion system while hidden by the sun's disk to slow down and remain in the solar system. If it were a craft, such a burn could allow it to intercept Earth or another target subsequently. In fact, they calculated an optimal trajectory in which an alien craft masquerading as 3I Atlas could conceivably arrive near Earth in late November or early December 2025, after using the sun's gravity to brake and even possibly rendezvous with Jupiter for a gravity assist. This is a highly specific and extraordinary claim, to be sure, and no evidence of any such maneuvers or deceleration was observed. Keep in mind that our telescopes can't observe when this thing's near the sun because it's just going to be washed out and we're not going to be able to see it through a telescope. Loeb acknowledged that he did not have evidence of artificial control. Rather, he argued that given the existential stakes, if it were hostile, it could be dire for humanity. We ought to at least consider and monitor that possibility. Then there are the anomalies cited by Loeb. Loeb pointed to several anomalies in 3I Atlas's observed properties, which in his view leave room for an artificial explanation. These include, first, the orbital plane alignment. The chance of an interstellar object having an orbital plane within approximately 0.3 degrees of the ecliptic is extremely low if random, perhaps 0.2% by his calculation. He suggested this could imply intentional alignment for easier solar system access. The second factor is an apparent lack of a classic comet tail, initially, as of early observations. 3I Atlas did not sport a long, obvious tail, which Loeb argued was not exhibiting a cometary tail like normal comets. It did have a coma, but Loeb focused on the morphology. He noted that the glow of light ahead of the object could be explained by a thin layer of material ablated off an artificial surface. He calculated that a 1 millimeter thick layer of dirt burning off a 2 or 20 kilometer object over 6 months could produce a comparable dust coma. Then there's number 3, no detectable gas early on. Loeb et al. Originally remarked on the lack of obvious spectral lines of common comet volatilities as evidence of non-natural origin. However, later Swift and other data did detect gas, weakening this point. The fourth factor is no non-gravitational acceleration initially. Paradoxically, Loeb noted that unlike Oumuamua, which had anomalous acceleration or typical active comets, 3I Atlas's trajectory up to September showed no deviations from gravity, implying minimal thrust from outgassing. He argued that if the comet is large, say greater than 5 kilometers, A lack of expected outgassing acceleration could be an anomaly with its mass, hinting at a possible artificial origin if it's more massive or non-outgassing. Then there's number 5, spectral peculiarities. Loeb mentioned a report of nickel being detected without iron, which he suggested is found in industrial alloys, though it's unclear if the nickel detection is confirmed or just theoretical. In essence, Loeb has kept a running list of about 7 anomalies that, in his opinion, prevent us from conclusively labeling 3I Atlas as just another mundane comet. By October 2025, now, Loeb publicly stated he assigns a 30 to 40% likelihood that 3I Atlas does not have a fully natural origin. This is a strikingly high probability from a scientific standpoint, given extraordinary claim. I'm not going to repeat that stupid Neil deGrasse Tyson nonsense. He posits the scenario of a Trojan horse, a technological object disguised as a natural comet, as the low probability but high impact hypothesis that we must keep in mind. Loeb's broader Loeb's broader rationale is that we should collect as much data as possible on each interstellar object to evaluate such possibilities rather than dismiss them outright. He argues that even if most are rocks, one might be a probe, and we won't know unless we look carefully. His stance has been controversial, with many astronomers criticizing it as unfounded speculation that can mislead the public. All right, then there's the scientific community's response and rebuttal. Again, anyone over the past decade who puts their full faith and trust in modern institutions is a fool. But let's hear what they have to say. The mainstream scientific community's reaction to Loeb's alien hypothesis has been largely skeptical and occasionally sharply critical. Multiple experts have stepped forward to address the supposed anomalies and reinforce that 3I Atlas behaves just as a natural comet would, albeit an interesting one. NASA officially debunked the alien-made claim in statements to the press in September 2025. First of all, nobody in the scientific establishment knows what the hell this thing is. It's obvious. So anybody, especially an institution, that comes up and says it has decisively debunked is full of shit. I'm not saying Avi Loeb, I think Avi Loeb is, as always, being very measured. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying that his logic is a classic risk management technique, right? Even if the probability of this thing is 0.1%, that it's a hostile threat to our existence on Earth, the magnitude of that being true is so massive that you have to take everything into consideration. So these fools at NASA that are wasting their time trying to debunk that hypothesis are wasting taxpayer money. I think while Loeb is probably not correct, right? I mean, he estimated himself that it's a 30 to 40% chance that this hypothesis is correct, which is basically saying it's less likely than even chance that it's a craft of any sort. But I think his greater point is you have to take, even if it's a small probability, you have to take it with the utmost seriousness. So anyway, again, as NASA burns my tax money to say, it looks like a comet, it does comet things, it very, very strongly resembles in just about every way the comets that we know, said Dr. Tom Stadier, NASA's lead scientist for small bodies. Thanks, Tom. You know what? You're probably right, but you're wasting resources defending this point. We need to figure out what the hell this thing is. And if you don't know what it is 100%, shut the fuck up. Anyway, let me calm down. He acknowledged 3I Atlas has some very interesting differences from typical comets, which is expected for an interstellar specimen, but emphasized that, quote, the evidence is overwhelmingly pointing to this object being a natural body. It's a comet. No, it's not a comet. You said the evidence is overwhelmingly pointing. That doesn't mean it's 100%. So you have to take it seriously, moron. It's just like, this is why institutions are failing at every level in the United States right now. It's called simple risk management. Anyway, Stadier and others pointed out that all comets have a few unusual quirks, unpredictable flares, compositional oddities, etc. Yet those do not necessitate artificial explanations. Comets are mixtures of dust and ice. Exactly how they respond to solar heating is a bit unpredictable. Stadier noted, reminding that every known solar system comets can surprise us by, say, suddenly brightening due to a pocket of ice vaporizing. In short, nothing about 3I Atlas's behavior so far is beyond the realm of natural comet physics. Okay, so what happens when it's 3 days from Earth and it's exhibited a lot of natural comet physics? Are you focusing on that scenario, genius? Of course he's not. A key rebuttal came from a SETI Institute scientist, Dr. AKM Ihsanul Haq, who authored a paper responding directly to Loeb's claims. This fucking idiot! Oh my, I'm sorry, I gotta stop cursing. Wasted time, like, took resources to write a paper to debunk someone else's hypothesis. What? Why are you wasting time on this? Why don't you monitor it and focus on that? Anyway, these people are unbelievable. On the orbital plane alignment, yes, the odds of an interstellar object randomly aligning with the ecliptic are small, but not implausible. And importantly, the galaxy's disk, where most stars reside, is itself aligned not far from the solar ecliptic. In fact, the solar system's plane is roughly inclined only approximately 60 degrees to the Milky Way's plane, meaning many incoming ISOs from the disk will have low inclinations. Well, we've seen 3, and only 1 does. These people. Thus, statistically, some interstellar objects will appear near the ecliptic by natural chance. 3I Atlas's approximately 0-degree inclination might be uncommon, but given millions of ISOs out there, it's not evidence of intent. Just one outlier in a distribution. Again, we've seen 3 objects. One of them is at approximately 0 degrees inclination. That means 33% of the objects, 33 1/3% to be exact, of the objects that have arrived in our solar system have this inclination. Okay? That's orders of magnitude greater than the probability of it naturally occurring, especially if there's millions of objects like that. Like, I'm not a rocket scientist, right? This is not difficult. Okay? Anyway, on the velocity, approximately 58 kilometers per second, and hyperbolic excess, Hawk notes that these are perfectly consistent with natural ejection from another star. The values fall in line with those measured for Oumuamua and Borisov when accounting for the sun's motion and typical stellar velocities. There's nothing here that demands an engine. Gravity can fling objects to those speeds. On the lack of close planetary encounters, Loeb highlighted that 3I Atlas isn't coming super close to Earth or other planets by chance, which he saw as suspiciously optimal. But Hawk calculates the low probability of close encounters, e.g. 0.005% for hitting Venus, Mars, Jupiter, is also true for natural comets. Most comets, interstellar or not, won't randomly hit planets. Missing planets is a norm, not evidence of evasion. On the spectral and compositional data, Loeb pointed to a lack of identifiable chemicals early on as suggestive of artificiality. Hawk counters that as data came in, the spectral properties of 3I Atlas actually line up well with natural analogs, specifically D-type asteroids and 2I Borisov. The continuation slope and colors are what you'd expect from a carbonaceous comet fragment, not some exotic alloy surface. So the claim of missing chemical signatures was premature. We now have detected water, cyanide, likely carbon monoxide, etc., which places 3I Atlas firmly in the comet category. On non-gravitational acceleration, all right, now Hawk, I think, is arguing this is a critical point. No significant anomalous acceleration has been observed for 3I Atlas, aside from what cometary outgassing could cause. Precise photometry by Seligman et al. Found the light curve varied periodically in a stable way over approximately 4 days, indicating a steady rotation and no signs of propulsion or rapid spin-up. Unlike Oumuamua, which had a small unexplained acceleration, 3I Atlas's motion is accounted for by gravity, with perhaps tiny outgassing effects consistent with its coma. The fact that 3I Atlas did not display such acceleration is a strong argument against the idea of artificial propulsion. Hawk writes, even Borisov had slight non-grav acceleration from outgassing. But Atlas is massive enough and its outgassing oriented in a way that no unusual trajectory deviations are seen. This undercuts any notion that it's maneuvering or slowing deliberately. On lobes, if it accelerates, it might be aliens. If it doesn't, it might be aliens approach. The community has noted a kind of unfalsifiable stance in Loeb's arguments, which Hawk and others find unconvincing. For instance, Loeb initially said if we detected non-gravitational acceleration, as with Oumuamua, it could indicate artificial push, but since 3I Atlas didn't, he then flipped to say that the absence might indicate a heavy, anomalous craft mass. This logical inconsistency has drawn criticism for setting a narrative where almost any outcome is spun as aliens. Scientists emphasize sticking to Occam's razor. We have a perfectly good explanation, a natural comet that fits all observations so far, and no concrete evidence of technology or maneuver. Therefore, the burden of proof for exotic claims hasn't been met. In public discourse, Loeb's suggestions did generate buzz and some confusion. There were reports of conspiracy theories circulating, people fearing or theorizing that an alien spacecraft was inbound in late 2025 or that governments were covering it up. This was likely fueled by misinterpretation of Loeb's dark forest scenario. Scientists have tried to tamp this down by clearly stating 3I Atlas poses no threat and behaves naturally. NASA, for example, stresses the comet would not come closer than 170 million miles to Earth and that its path is well understood. The key words there are that the comet. Well, what if it's not a comet? Anyway. To quote Stadier, the guy who sits in his office and wastes government funding, once more, it has some interesting properties that are a little bit different, but it behaves like a comet. And there's overwhelming evidence it is a comet. The interesting properties he alludes to, for instance, high speed, early activity, are explainable by it originating from a different star and being chemically distinct, not by alien engines. In the end, the broader scientific consensus is that while it's good to remain open-minded, no extraordinary evidence has emerged to suggest 3I Atlas is anything other than a natural interstellar comet. The focus thus remains on learning what this comet can tell us about other solar systems rather than entertaining extraterrestrial invasion scenarios. All right, broader scientific significance and community reactions, i.e., the institutional narrative. Beyond the specific natural versus artificial debate, the scientific community has shown enormous enthusiasm for 3I Atlas as a scientific target. Dozens of observatories worldwide have contributed to a coordinated observing campaign. NASA formed a cross-mission working group to track it involving space telescopes and planetary probes. The comet's interstellar nature and unusual traits have sparked many research efforts. In terms of galactic science, as discussed, its trajectory is being used to probe the structure and dynamics of our galaxy's disk. Whether it came from the thin or thick disk touches on questions of how planetesimal ejection efficiencies might differ in older metal-poor systems versus younger ones. If it indeed is approximately 10 billion years old, that gives us a tangible sample of the kind of material present near the dawn of planet formation in the Milky Way. Interstellar objects like this are essentially lost building blocks of planets. Their composition, water, CO2, organics, inform us about conditions in their home systems, protoplanetary disks. For instance, 3I Atlas's high CO2 might indicate it formed beyond a carbon dioxide ice line around a star perhaps slightly cooler or in a colder region than where our comets form. Each interstellar comet provides a data point for comparative planetology on a galactic scale. Researchers at a joint Europlanet DPS conference in 2025 highlighted that these outsiders can reveal the chemistry of other solar systems and even the distribution of volatiles in the galaxy. Professor Lintott pointed out that interstellar objects may actually be the most numerous macroscopic objects in the Milky Way. Trillions of them are drifting around, apparently. And that we're only just now getting the capability to detect them. So the community views 3I Atlas as part of a new frontier in astronomy. Studying 3I Atlas also teaches us about comet physics under unique conditions. For example, its early activity at 2.9 AU tests our understanding of sublimation and nucleus properties. Excuse me. The fact that greater than 8% of its surface is active, if that estimate holds, is higher than usual, prompting investigation into surface thermal properties of fragmentation. It has been rewriting what we thought we knew about how comets behave. So, for instance, the idea that significant water sublimation can occur beyond 3 AU if icy grains are present. Dr. Dennis Bodowitz noted that detecting water in an interstellar comet is like reading a note from another planetary system. It confirms that ingredients for life's chemistry, like water, are widespread. And then there's public engagement. The interstellar visitor has captured public imagination. Media coverage has been extensive, from Scientific American to The Guardian to numerous science news outlets. While some sensational angles, alien craft, grabbed headlines, there has also been genuine popular interest in the scientific narrative of a comet from another star. Scientists have leveraged this interest to educate about planetary science, much like Oumuamua did in 2017. Public telescope images, like those by amateur Michael Yeager of a green 3I Atlas during an eclipse, have circulated widely. Overall, 3I Atlas has further awareness that interstellar visitors are real and traversing our solar system occasionally, a concept that was purely theoretical not long ago. All right, now we'll move on to outlook for future observations and missions. 3I Atlas will remain under observation into 2026 until it becomes too faint. As of October 2025, it was stated that ground-based telescopes could track it until around September 2025 before solar conjunction, then pick it up again by December 2025 on the outbound leg. Indeed, from December 2025 into early 2026, renewed observations from Earth will occur as the comet heads toward Jupiter's distance. The European Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, or JUICE, spacecraft is scheduled to train its instruments on 3I Atlas in November 2025, shortly after perihelion, when the comet is most active. JUICE will be far from the comet, much farther than Mars was, but its vantage point and sensitive cameras could provide unique data. However, due to the spacecraft's operational constraints, data from JUICE's comet observations won't be downlinked until February 2026. If successful, JUICE might capture the comet's coma and tail from the outer solar system, complementing inner solar system observations. Another upcoming asset is the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, formerly LSST, which is expected to begin full survey operations by 2025-26. Rubin's deep, wide survey should detect many new interstellar objects. Estimates range from a few to dozens over a decade. In fact, Rubin contributed to sizing 3I Atlas in 2025, and going forward, it could serendipitously catch 3I Atlas on its way out, though the comet will fade. More importantly, Rubin will likely ensure that the next interstellar object is found even earlier in its approach. As Professor Lintott noted, given how common ISOs probably are, we're about to start spotting a whole lot more of them. Each discovery provides more targets for follow-up with telescopes like JWST, Hubble, if it's still operational, ground spectrographs, etc. In terms of spacecraft missions, no probe was launched to chase 3I Atlas. The discovery came only a few months before perihelion, not enough time to mount an intercept. However, space agencies have been studying the feasibility of interstellar object intercept missions in general. One concept is to have a spacecraft on standby that could be sent to rendezvous or at least fly by a newly discovered interstellar visitor. A recent study indicated that launching fast flyby missions to interstellar comets is feasible and affordable if we detect them sufficiently early. For example, research groups like the Initiative for Interstellar Studies, Project Lyra, have contemplated missions to Oumuamua or future ISOs using high-energy trajectories. The ESA Comet Interceptor mission, due to launch in 2029, is a concrete step in this direction. Comet Interceptor will wait at the Sun-Earth L2 point for a suitable target, ideally a long-period comet making its first approach, or possibly an interstellar object is discovered inbound during its loiter time. If an interstellar object with a reachable trajectory is found in the 2030s, Comet Interceptor could be retargeted to intercept it. ESA acknowledges it's an unlikely but highly appealing possibility to catch an interstellar visitor. Even if not, the mission serves as a pathfinder for rapid response, demonstrating how to design a probe ready to launch or maneuver on short notice toward an unexpected target. Michael Cooper's, ESA's project scientist for Comet Interceptor, noted that when the mission was conceived in 2019, we knew of only one interstellar object. Now we know 3, showing large diversity in their appearance. Visiting one directly could revolutionize our understanding. NASA, for its part, has discussed ideas like sleeper probes or modifying its forthcoming missions. For instance, the European Space Agency's Trident concept and other studies have considered how a mission to an outer solar system object might be redirected if an ISO appears. While nothing specific is approved yet, the success of catching 3I Atlas with existing spacecraft, Mars orbiters, JUICE, etc., demonstrates growing agility in responding to such events. In summary, the outlook is that 3I Atlas's legacy will extend beyond its 2026 or 2025 to 2026 apparition. The data collected will keep astronomers busy modeling its composition and origin for years. It has already prompted new theoretical work, for instance, on galactic dynamics of ISOs and on comet sublimation physics at large heliocentric distances. It has also energized efforts to be ready for the next visitor, scientifically and technologically. The fact that we have now found 3 such objects in a span of 8 years suggests that as surveys improve, interstellar objects could become a semi-regular aspect of solar system studies. Each new detection will be an opportunity to possibly sample a different star's debris. Dr. Lintott enthusiastically put it, these interstellar interlopers are like sample return missions from distant star systems delivered to our doorstep, without us having to travel light years. That mindset is driving future planning rather than view them as curiosities, treat each ISO as a chance to directly study materials from across the galaxy. The scientific community's excitement and swift response to 3I Atlas bodes well for even more ambitious undertakings when the next one is spotted. So in conclusion, 3I Atlas has proven to be a remarkable cosmic visitor, offering a wealth of insights during its brief passage through our solar system. Chronologically, we traced its discovery in mid-2025, its journey past Mars and around the Sun in late 2025, and its outgoing exit toward Jupiter's orbit by 2026. We saw that its high-speed hyperbolic trajectory marks it unequivocally as an interstellar object, one that likely roamed the galaxy for eons before fatefully encountering our sun. Observationally, 3I Atlas behaves as an active comet, replete with a dust-enshrouded icy nucleus and volatile outgassing. It distinguished itself by shedding water like a fire hose at unexpectedly large distances, indicating a rich complement of accessible ices. The comet's composition, water, CO2, organics, etc., and its greenish coma testify that the ingredients for life's chemistry are not unique to our solar system, but are likely widespread. Each measurement, from Hubble's size constraints to Swift's OH detection in JWST's CO2 findings reinforces that while exotic by virtue of origin, 3I Atlas can be understood with the same physical properties that govern ordinary comets. Comparative analysis highlighted how 3I Atlas, 2I Borisov, and 1I Oumuamua formed a triad of contrasts, one dry and asteroidal, one a carbon monoxide-rich comet, and one a water-rich distant activating comet. This diversity hints at the myriad outcomes of planet formation across different stellar environments. 3I Atlas's possible extreme age, potentially double that of Earth's sun, and provenance from the Milky Way's thin disk underscore its significance as a relic of the ancient galaxy. It is quite literally alien debris, a piece of a puzzle from another star system that has drifted into our grasp. The speculation by Avi Loeb that 3I Atlas could be an artificial object captured imagination but remains unsupported by evidence. The scientific consensus backed by detailed analyses is that 3I Atlas anomalies are either overstated or explicable within cometary physics and galactic dynamics. As interesting as it is to ponder extraterrestrial technology, in this case, Occam's razor and the weight of data point to a natural comet, one that happens to be a particularly large and volatile example forged in some distant planetary system. Indeed, the rigorous scrutiny applied partly due to the alien question has only strengthened the conclusion that nature is fully capable of producing such an object. From a broader perspective, the encounter with 3I Atlas has demonstrated humanity's growing ability to detect and investigate interstellar interlopers. We witnessed an unprecedented mobilization of instruments across Earth and space to observe this comet from multiple vantage points. The event has accelerated discussions about rapid response missions and how to capitalize on future discoveries. The knowledge gained about interstellar water, organics, comet activity, and galactic planetesimal populations is profound. Each such object is a messenger from afar, and 3I Atlas delivered the message that our solar system is not isolated. Material from other stars wanders among us, carrying clues to the diversity of worlds beyond. In closing, 3I Atlas's journey through our solar system in 2025 will be remembered as a milestone in planetary science and astrochemistry. It bridged our local cosmic neighborhood with the broader galaxy, albeit fleetingly. The data and insights gleaned from a lasting legacy, enriching our understanding of how planetary systems evolve and what bygone epochs of the Milky Way might have been like. And as the third known interstellar traveler, 3I Atlas has paved the way for many more, both in preparing our scientific toolkit and in igniting our curiosity. As one article mused, a 10 billion-year-old comet visiting from another star is wondrous enough on its own. Surely that is enough to inspire us, even without invoking alien spacecraft. The saga of 3I Atlas reminds us that the universe's most compelling stories often lie in the interplay of natural phenomena waiting to be unraveled by scientific inquiry. All right, and that's it for the prepared remarks of this wonderful podcast. All right. Man, it's a lot. Let me just catch up on some fuel. All right, let's see where we left off. Bear with me, folks. Yeah, that's a lot. Good Lord. A lot of comments for me to go through. It's good because I still have about 40 minutes to... where are we? Here, what? No. There we go. All right. Okay. Nathaniel Gillis. Ray. Okay. Capricorn. Spider bite. I have no idea what that word means. Okay, so Spiritual Ascension is saying, I'm just waiting for the end of the year so I can say, so what happened to that 3I Atlas? Ray said, time is weird. Isn't everything the same age? Spiritual Ascension says, yep, there's only now. Angela Cullum says, it's bridging peaceful enlightenment to those who actually want to ascend and not wear it like a trend. That rhymes, sort of. Spiritual Ascension saying, no one else is going to help you transcend but you. Angela Cullum says, apparently you've experimented. Nancy K, supposedly everything is happening all at once. All right, I'm going to try to speed through these because there's a ton of them. All right, Spider Bite saying it's one of over 100,000 comets that are on their orbit, which circles our sun over and over. But that's the problem. This one, all the 100,000 comets are from our solar system, except the 3 objects we talked about. Yeah, Spiritual Ascension, you are right. Regardless, we shall see. I don't know what it is either. I just don't appreciate our government wasting the exorbitant tax dollars I pay to debunk other theories. Like, that's just not a good use of their time. Okay, so Ray is saying, what is it that is 95% dark? Yeah, it's dark matter, I think. Okay. Okay, so Woo Riders DG is saying those Mars probes had better show better photos. It's a global cabal mucking around again. Yeah, they definitely have better resolution than what they share. Yeah, where is Gray Al? Maybe he shows up later. Terrence Wills just said, here's a fun fact. ESA just embargoed 3i Atlas spectroscopic data for 74 years. So what is that? Seriously? Yeah, I mean, if that's true, that tells you they do not want you to know what the hell this thing is. What the hell? Okay. Ray is saying, I think Sean could levitate a pen. Not that I know of. Maybe I can. I just don't know how to do it. But I have never been able to levitate a pen. Right? Here's a pen. I'm going to try to levitate it. That didn't work. Anyway. I wish I could levitate a pen. That would be nice. Let's see. Logan Clark says, I think he could bend a spoon, and Ben and Jerry's on his cheat day, though. I never tried it, but based on what I've been told how to do it, maybe. Okay, so Terrence Willis is saying 74-year ESA embargo on spectroscopic data screams all kinds of, yeah. Ray saying, I bet he's had instant coffee without any water. I've had 4 coffees today. That's what's going on. Oh, yeah. Hail Bob. That's the Heaven's Gate. Remember that one? Yikes. Yeah, I'm seeing like 231 people right now. So I've had better, but that's pretty good for a live stream. Like, this is I don't do as well in these live streams. I don't think anybody does. Yeah, 999 would be absolutely wild. 100%. Supposedly Halloween is on Friday the 13th this year. Yeah. Yeah, there is no Friday the 13th and Halloween's on the 31st, but I get you, Ray. I get you. I enjoy that comment. Yeah, I'm just trying to get to 20,000 by the end of the year. If I break that, but I have to be running at roughly the same rate, which is of subscribers, which is wild. It's like, it's not, For a few days running, it was over 100 a day. Now it's kind of declining into like 70 a day, but that's still, as long as I gain more than more than 34 subscribers a day, I'll make it. It might even be less than that, but I'd rather just get to 20,000 faster. But again, if I checked my numbers when I first started this podcast, I thought I would be way beyond that by this point. At some point, maybe on a monthly live stream, maybe I'll cover like what I thought and like where I ended up, because this podcasting thing, uh, it's actually relatively fun and easy to do, but it takes a ridiculous amount of time and it takes forever to grow. Forever. Okay, so Wu Rogers DG is saying something about the Sun, Jupiter, and 3i Atlas being in some rare alignment. I forgot the details. Interesting. Okay, so Terrence Willis is saying, question, do you think we have space and time all wrong? It seems they've hidden certain physics, science, and math from us. Thank you, buddy. That's kick-ass. Thank you, Terrence. Yeah, I definitely think we have space and time wrong, at least mainstream physics. And it may be that the concept of the ether that Tesla kind of believed in and Einstein didn't, we may have missed something from that. Or not. I'm not a physicist, so my impressions are going to be a little bit ignorant. Logan Clark. Terrence, I'll answer this one. Yes. Okay, so Ray is saying no rivets, said it has a USB-like drive on it with history of long dead civilization. Who knows? Maybe. Oops. Supposedly there's a Hardee's on it. Let's see. I'm speeding over some stuff. Hey, Miss Tammy, good to see you again. Yeah, Spider Bite said someone said it's passing Mars currently. I think that's correct. Spiritual Ascension said I still got craft hidden 12,000 miles underground in Egypt. So Roger Claiborne is saying nuclear powered steam jet engine could refuel anywhere there's water, ice, or frozen hydrocarbons. Yeah. Okay. So Terrence is writing a question. Does anyone here really think we don't have 4K pictures of this thing and know exactly what it is? We can look billions of light years into space, but not an object coming right at us. Yeah, you're right, Terrence. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Stephen A is saying this is not a comet. Maybe natural, but not a comet. All right, so Logan, I'm assuming you're looking. Those are the YouTube numbers. The combined number across all the platforms is around 229 right now. So there's probably a huge number, the balance is probably on Twitter. All right, people are talking a lot about fries. Tribble Nubbins, I haven't seen you in a while. It just writes, hey, just got here. Has the ecto containment laser confinement system you humans are calling 3i Atlas purged its reservoirs of ghosts yet? I don't know. All right. Delilah is saying all remote viewers say it's this, it's that. No one knows what it is. Yeah, I think that's right. Roger Claiborne is saying, I know what it is. It's space dust, rocks, and ice. The probability, like based on simple probability, you're probably right. But there's chance. You tell me there's a chance. Okay, Triple Nubbins is saying the ghost attach and suck on your root chakra, and surprisingly, it doesn't feel good. Yeah, so Roger Claiborne is saying when I remote view it, I see ice, dust, and rock. Okay, so Delilah is saying Roger, while others see entities sleeping in pods. And then others, Delilah continues, others say there's no aliens in it. So Earthkeeper is saying to Delilah, the remote viewer, no rivets, YouTube channel, says there's technology on 3i Atlas emitting a signal, an echo from an ancient civilization. Yeah, I think on Rogan said it's coming from the same direction as the WoW signal, apparently. Logan says 60% of the time it works every time. You must be talking about Sex Panther, Logan Clark. Okay. Logan Clark is telling me that if YouTube, kind of the active number, gets to 3 digits, he's going to buy me a toaster. I'm going to hold him to that. It better be a cheap toaster, and it better be as garbage as possible. Okay, Terrence Willis has another question. Could it possibly be hot alien space babes and sleeping pods waking up soon? Well, for Dr. John Brandenburg's sake, I hope so. Yeah, Woo Rogers, DG, Avi Loeb making headlines again, must need more funding for his research. That's possible. All right, Delilah said some say it's a plasma ship that's alive. Like I said, no one knows what it is. Logan Clark thinks it's a space potato. Prove him wrong. Yeah. Ugh. Anyway. Roger Claiborne is saying steam rockets were frozen gas, liquid fuel, including pure water heated with nuclear power plant, could refuel all over the solar system. Yeah, probably. Okay. Terrence Willis said, question, do people even realize there are literally solar telescopes made specifically to look at the sun so they can't see it? Excuses a lie. Just saying. I did not know that, actually. I've just heard people repeat over and over again that, like, we don't have telescopes that can look directly into the sun, which seemed odd to me because maybe you can put a filter or something. I don't know. But fair point. Josh 1 billion might be when I started yelling at the NASA scientist, I guess. Thank you, Randy. Stephen A. repeats, not a comet. Woo Riders DG, just say if Sean, you want to scrap with Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'll place a good wager on you winning by KO within 3 rounds. Well, yeah, in a physical altercation, I have no doubt on my abilities. Yeah, John Kurtz is writing, how clear are the pics of 3i Atlas? I haven't seen them, but I can almost tell you dollars to donuts that whatever pictures they shared, They are very low resolution. Okay, another one of these. Who doesn't want to hit scrap with Dingus Tyson? What a joke. Stephen A. writes. Spiritual ascension. Can't believe this topic is getting so much traction. How this? Yeah, I didn't think it's doing better than average. Like I don't know why. I thought I don't really have anything good this week. Let's try Three Eye Atlas. Yeah, or as Tupa says, thick whites. THICC. Roger Claiborne saying, hopefully hot Nordic babes are on their way to visit our Florida beaches. You buying the toaster? You can get a Through a Glass Darkly sticker and just buy like the cheapest garage like sale unfunctional, non-functional toaster and just literally put the sticker on and it becomes a Through a Glass Darkly toaster. Just saying. And then, uh yeah, somewhere you can find my merchandise. It's in the merchandise site. That's triple. This is so unimportant when we consider we don't even really know what happened to Chandra Levy. Yeah, that's the congressman. What's his name? Gary Condit. Is that the right guy? Congressman Gary Condit, who was associated with Chandra Levy, and she disappeared. Okay, Oscar. Yeah, yeah. Terrence Williams saying, remember, the same people telling you it's all comets and meteors are the same people that said they don't exist 200 years ago. Yeah, correct. Jalay Jalal saying, I'm an expert at the current statistics regarding violence, murder, and can give you a very good idea of what happened to Chandra Levy. I think we all could. Probably. Garrett, yeah, or somebody associated with him. Yeah. I wasn't that mad, though. That was like a 5 out of 10. Maybe even a 4. Oh, so Jalay Jalal saying it was somebody she knew, but not Condit. Oh boy, I'm not touching that one. Yep, the old institutional narrative. Yes, these chats are getting crazy. So yeah, Nick's saying so it's not that Three Eye Atlas is uncommon in our solar system. It's just that our tech is only. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate because most of these objects are a lot smaller. Someone needs to make a cut of every time Sean gets pissed off. Throw that up, and we will double his viewership. All right, I'm just rapidly going through this. Logan Clark, does anyone want to buy a slightly used Through a Glass Darkly toaster? Asking for a friend. Josh 1 billion just asked, where do you guys get your space bread? And Roger Claiborne just wrote Walmart. Yeah, I actually haven't watched that one yet about Dick Algeyer's remote viewing of it. Maybe I have. I just can't remember. There's like so much. Okay, so David Marks is saying, if you worry about the YouTube numbers too much to you, I will wake up with a nose ring and sleeve of tattoos claiming to be a star seed. Okay, so Angela Colum says Dobsonian Power has a great amateur views of Atlas. I love Terrence's questions. Question: do you think that the Prez will ever come out and say it's real? And if he did, would people even believe it? Keep kicking ass here for the rants. No, our entire establishment is corrupt. Both parties, everything. It's just no. I don't think there's going to be any official announcements. I think they're going to hide this thing forever. Test on air. Testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, I've gone through all the comments. That was pretty. I don't know about efficient, but oh my lord. Grok, India Spec is saying the stereo mission designed primarily to observe the sun and solar phenomena isn't optimized for detecting asteroids on the opposite side of the sun from Earth. It's instruments. India Spec continues like the heliospheric imager, focus on solar activity and coronal mass ejections, not on tracking small distant objects like asteroids. Yeah. Fair enough. Oh, you know what? I need to put like one of these banners on there. There we go. Anyway, you can read that. Back to the comments. Okay. Whew. Let me see how it's actually doing on YouTube, though. I haven't quite done that. Oh wow. I wasn't expecting that. This live stream is doing pretty well, guys. On YouTube, it has 923 views apparently. I mean, they're not all here at the same time, but that's not usual. That's like way above the normal. So we'll have to see if it gets to 999 per Logan because it might actually get there. Just a few more. Just a few more. Oops. I should put up a poll. A poll about what? I don't think I can do it live though. I don't think I have the tech to do it live. Oh, it went great. Got along great with him. We did 2 interviews and good stuff. Good stuff. Should appear first and second week of November. At least that's when I'll get it done. I did another interview today with Mark Stavish, and he is an expert on Hermeticism. We did an episode on egregores, and then we did an episode on Hermeticism. Very interesting stuff. And then I'll probably do 2 interviews tomorrow with Steve Mera. So I'm trying to bundle all these interviews so I can get the next month done. So all these interviews are November interviews. I think, was it Sean Bloor or Sion Bloor? I don't know. Yeah, it's a three 3i Atlas bump. All right. Lots of hearts and fist bumps and all sorts of goodness, everyone. Now I gotta find where the heck is this thing? All right, now we're at 932, folks. I think we might actually get to 999 by the end. Let's see. This legitimacy of three. I mean, it's a real object. We can all agree on that. It's a real object that's traversing from outside our solar system. All right, I got to find a way to introduce these questions from Terrence Wills. Question: why do scientists always say they know what something is 100%, but are always proven wrong? Also, what are your thoughts on the telepathy tapes? You rock, bro. Thank you, brother. I think the telepathy tapes are interesting, and I think folks and scientists and whatnot should spend a little bit time or more time reviewing them and examining the data. And yes, they scientists too. I mean, not all of them, but like Avi Loeb's at least smart enough to say there's a 30 to 40% chance that this thing is a threat, right? Which implicitly admits that there's a better than even chance that he even thinks he's going to be wrong on that. So I just don't like when scientists waste their time. Like, well, why don't waste your time debunking somebody else. Just focus on your instrumentation and observe what you can see. Wait, 10,000 what? 10K views. Oh, yeah. I had okay. So Shimbo had to rewind. Well done. Yeah, that was one day I had over 10,000 views. So, which is the highest day ever on my channel. Logan, you can't. We're gonna hit it. We have like 9 minutes. We might hit that number. Like seriously hit that number. I know, David, but I would like to do that. So David writes, just keep doing what you're doing and don't worry about the numbers. I agree with you, but I want to do this full time. I mean, there's more stuff that I would love to be able to do with the channel, higher production value, um, location based filming. There's a lot of things I would like to do, but I need to find a way to sustainably support me and my family doing only this. And right now I have a full time day job, which I'm very happy to have, and I'm obviously saving money from that. But I'm still not there. Roger Claiborne, trust the science gatekeepers, not. Spiritual Ascension saying we're worrying about a potential threat on 3i, but not the threats in power poisoning our food and water. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Let's just do a little check. All right, Logan, we are 51 views away from hitting 999. And we have 8 minutes left. Now we're at 949. We're 50 views. Did I do the math wrong there? Right now we're 50 views away. 50 views. 48 views, or sorry. Now we're 49 views. My math is really messed up right now. We are 48 views away. So, and we have 7 minutes left. Will we make it? Will Logan have to buy me a four-wheeler? Remember, All right, I keep going over. Last question from Terrace Willis. What 3 questions would you ask the gatekeepers to get us to the truth? 100K subs. You realize how fast I would have to grow to get that? I would have to let's see. Let's say I ended this month at 20,000. I would have to more than double the number of my total subscribers in the last 2 months of the year, maybe 2.5 times per month. So last question. Can you rant on NASA for a few? Oh my God. Yeah, never a straight answer on NASA. Synchronous viewership. Well, what do you mean by synchronous viewers? Now you're changing the definitions, Logan. I don't know. I have to actually be angry, and I'm not like super angry yet. We might get to 999. We have 5 minutes left. We're at 961. 961. So we're just 38 views from getting there, people. With 5 minutes on the clock. Are we going to make it? Are we going to get there? I wonder what NASA would say. I do know with 100% certainty, whatever NASA says, you bet on the opposite. Never a straight answer. All right, so at 961 with 5 minutes on the clock, Logan. I mean, it could get interesting. Still 5 minutes left. Clock is still going. Still going. I'm gonna take a big sip of my coffee. Okay. Just give it a few minutes. We'll see where we are. Continue to monitor the comments. I think Logan's sweating right now. Logan, how are you feeling right now? You got 4 minutes left. How you feeling? We're getting close. We are getting close. 968. We are 32 views with 4 minutes left. You know what? I'm gonna post this so we can all watch it in real time. All right, how do I do this? Let's see. Share screen. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, 3i Atlas, 968. So, just going to do a quick refresh on this bad boy. Got 3 minutes left. I think Logan is probably going to be doing okay. We need 10 views a minute to get there in time. 10 views a minute. Oh boy, now there's lots of comments. Now, Angela Cullum is saying, have you heard anything about Atlas and how it has changed direction? I have not. Final question. Final question from Terrence. Do you think those in charge have any idea what's really going on? 200,000 subs by the end of the year. I think there is a very small group of people who know exactly what's going on. And then 99.9999999% are not. We'll see, Logan. I don't know. Who knows what's going on with the Hadron Collider? Logan Clark is going to be reporting this live for hate speech and harassment. Logan, nobody expects you to buy a four-wheeler, but it'll be fun to see if it happens. 2 minutes left. 2 minutes on the clock. All right, I gotta find this darn thing again. Okay, let's do a refresh. Oh boy. 24 views. 1 minute left. Are we going to make it? Logan, I think you're pretty safe at this point. I think you're pretty safe. But I will probably stay on until we hit 999. Just saying. All right. Clock is ticking. We are in the last minute of this podcast. How are we doing on 21 left. 21 left. Look at that watch time. 143.9 hours. We are almost there, folks. And it's at 9 o'clock. Logan is saved by the bell. What's the final tally? Where did we end up? I had no idea we would be this high, to be honest. 980. We were 19 away from getting there. I might just stay on until we hit 999. Just to do it. Did I just not have? Oh no, I had this up the whole time. All right. Lucky Logan. Logan Clark, you have to change your name to Lucky Logan. You just have to. By the way, when I checked that number, I thought it was going to be around 300. I literally I didn't think it was going to be 980. Let's see where we are now. 10 more. Wow, that jumped a lot. 10 more. Even though, Logan, you're completely safe at this point. I think I'm just going to keep refreshing. It's going to be kind of ridiculous, but whoa! 3 more. I'm going to just have to keep updating. 2 more. There we go. Screenshot that guy. All right, we hit the target. Man, 1 minute away, Logan. You missed it. 1 minute. 1 minute. You're the champion, Logan, but 1 minute away. Unreal. I should play We Are the Champion. We Are the Champion, We Are the Champions by Queen, but obviously I can't. I think Logan, you're going to have to buy. Lucky Logan's going to have to buy himself a toaster for that one. Terrence Willis saying thanks for a fun as F show, bro. Everyone hit like and subscribe on your way out to 3i Atlas's Landing. Very proud of everyone. And I'm just going to keep this. It's obviously beyond 999 right now, but I think I'm just going to end it on 999. And we'll remove this, come back to the center. Thank you, everyone. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your weekend and amazing next week. We are in the latter part of the year. This year has gone very rapidly, but October's the best. We got Halloween, all sorts of stuff, and there's still more of these live streams that are going to happen in October. So I need to do more Halloween themed things, though. Thank you, Angela Clome. Thank you on the Congratulations for an Awesome Show. And thank you, everyone, for playing 999. Scott Ireland say, as in no, in German. Yeah, I got to do more Halloween themed stuff for the rest of the live streams this month. And of course, I have Nathaniel Gillis episode that I'm just holding on ultra terrestrial horrors toward the end of October. So that should fit perfectly for the end of this month. So October and November, my favorite months. October because of Samhain and Halloween. It takes good use of my Celtic ancestry. And then November is my birthday month. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your weekend and a great week next week. And I look forward to seeing you again next Saturday. I will talk to you all soon. God bless and good night.